Pockets commented on there's an increase in experience from gathering. I think that's neat. Mainly because you'll be able to level up as you're gathering, and as you're processing and crafting. It gives you a little bit more experience that way. It's a valid way of leveling up.
The gathering XP is good, and everybody I know that I've talked to is happy that there's more gathering XP, and there's you're getting more XP from it. The clusters, I've gotten hit and miss reactions. I like them, but I don't think that's really fair for me to say I like something, because I'm pretty easy to please. I know that one of my officers, he's in here, and not being very opinionated in chat, he's a major gatherer, and it's hit and miss with him. I think he wants to see a little more improvements. I know the biggest frustration with me and everybody I hang out with, my guild and all my allied guilds, especially Atash, if he's in there. That is my crafting officer. He's getting mad with the drop rates for gear. And he's like, Solvryn, why did Intrepid up the cost of everything? Why does it take 1 million ignits to craft one simple item? And I'm like, dude, I'm not a dev. I don't know. But I'll voice your concerns right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Fair.
My personal opinion is gear. There should be lesser versions of gear if you're going to drop gear. I don't really, as somebody who wants to advocate for the balance of power in this game, I don't like that gear drops at all. I know that I've had this conversation with Jamie Chaos a lot, and him and I are aligned. We're just no, just only crafting, dude. Only crafting. And for me, I personally I'm a big crafter. I just will not craft if I find the system boring. I will find somebody else to do it.
Virtek, what are your thoughts?
So I like the direction things are going piece by piece. I know the one comment that Steven made is that there's more changes upcoming. I think they said that there's gonna be 3 drops, right? One was gonna be basically right at the 2.5 change, just about. Came a little bit after, if I recall. And then what is it, the 20 something of May, and then the
22nd,
17th of April. Yeah, 22nd and the 12th of April or something like that. I don't recall the exact dates, but I do know there was going to be 3 major updates to it. And as long as they're moving in a direction that kind of makes sense, and I like the removal of the static nodes, adding of clusters is kind of cool. Definitely appreciate that. I saw Pockets commented on there's an increase in experience from gathering. I think that's neat. Mainly because you'll be able to level up as you're gathering, and as you're processing and crafting. It gives you a little bit more experience that way. It's a valid way of leveling up, because to me it never made sense that if somebody wants to live as a crafter or a processor, and so they stay in town or at a node, and there's some items that boost your experience gain for your artisan skills, but you can't use them until your adventuring level is increased up to a certain point.
Right.
So being able to increase your adventuring level to get those by doing crafting and whatnot is, I think, pretty cool. I just think it needs to be time gated, everything should be balanced around a certain amount of time to hit that level 50 after launch. As far as gear drops, I'm in the camp that humanoid stuff should drop humanoid gear at least occasionally. It should basically all be common, with maybe the occasional green, and then bosses maybe the occasional blue, but they should also be dropping materials a lot more often to make and craft armor with, and to create certain sets. But the same could be said about creatures. Creatures should drop more things like meat and bone and such like that, instead of having to go out and hunt them for all of that. There should be a little bit of drops just by slaying things, because it makes sense. Yeah, poop. Exactly, Basil. that way, going out there, you can Des, the time gating, what I mean by that is, if they set the experience to a certain point to take X amount of hours to hit max level, then those X amount of hours, it should take that many hours to hit max level through crafting. It should take that many hours to hit max level with processing or gathering as well. That's kind of what I mean by the time gating. Set a standard, and then every method of leveling your adventuring class should take about the same amount of time. That way there's choices and they're all valid. Every choice is valid on how you want to level up your adventuring class. It's my opinion, though.
I will be a bit more succinct with my answer because I want to add on to just some of the points that Chad is making. Overall, I think that it's something that I'm still trying to decide on. I think that the direction is going possibly in the right direction. It's obviously going to take some fine tuning and some balancing, which we're not quite in that phase yet, the balancing phase. So yeah, I think in general, making sure that the crafters are able to make things. I think my biggest critique at the moment is that I forgot who it was, and I don't have the ability to pin in everything like you do, Virtek, but somebody said, it was Creepy Janitor. I agreed with Creepy Janitor. It says novice craft should be novice. I understand upping the crafting cost, but why on the novice? And that's my point. I always advocated make novice easier, make novice less resources, because at the end of the day, and as we're going to see as we go through one of these posts coming up here, at the end of the day, you're going to be out leveling novice before you even need any of that gear. It depends on how they balance the leveling after, the current systems, after the current phase. But as of right now, I think somebody got to 20 within like day 1 of the servers being up. And so as long as that's happening, novice gear is going to be useless.
Yeah, because really quick, just to chime in on that point you made, like we got to level 10 in one play session of like 6 hours or something?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, to extenuate that even further, you don't get apprentice until you get a tier 3 node, which that takes at least a couple of days. So you've out-leveled the gear in 1 day, and you can't make the better gear until a couple days later. So I'm trying to figure out how we can fix that, but we'll get into that for a second. First, I want to highlight some key. Whoa, sorry.
Whoa.
I was trying to click this. So Ash's Moments, thank you so much again. Put up a key highlights of patch 516 notes, and some of them are exactly what you're talking about. They introduced gatherables being able to spawn in cluster areas and contain a random amount of gatherables of the same type. They also include artisan activities, now give adventuring experience based on tier, rarity, and other factors. And then contributing to service buildings, construction costs can now be done with a larger variety of gatherable resources. So for example, ash and western larch can be contributed instead of only oak, sorry. And I think that these are kind of fundamentals, right? The service building construction is something that was kind of competing with crafting, right? Do I make something, or do I, instead of being able to make something, give all of my things that I've been saving to make something to this building so that I can then make something later? But then I don't have that anymore. And that was kind of one of those pivot points. And then on top of that, this is just the beginning of the gatherable changes. I haven't seen any confirmation of this yet, so I'm assuming it's not quite in yet. But we're supposed to eventually see where processing allows you to dynamically change the rarity of it depending on the items that you put in, and your sickle or your hunting bow being able to be unequipped. I don't know if that's in yet. I haven't, honestly. I wanted to test this out, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to try it on this laptop, I think. I was gonna look at it this weekend. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But at least having the gatherable rarity take part, like I would love that, especially with the crafting rarity, because I think at least for flowers, if I gathered a high quality flower, it gave me more XP. But if I made high quality shoes, it did not give me more XP than common. So that's something that I'm going to be looking for as a pivot point for me.